Hi there guys, I'm Nikhil from GreedyTech and this is the complete review of Asus Zenfone Max Pro M2 after 2 weeks. Now this phone is supposed to be a successor to the Asus Zenfone Max Pro M1, which was launched just about 6 to 8 months ago with the Snapdragon 636 processor with the same 5000 mAh battery and priced pretty aggressively starting at just a price of 11,000 rupees. While this phone, they are priced at 13,000 rupees for the base variant that comes with 3GB of RAM and 32GB of storage. And the next best variant is priced at 15,000 rupees for 4GB of RAM and 64GB of storage. There is another variant with 6GB of RAM, but that's simply overpriced. I've already posted the unboxing video, so check that out for initial impressions and a physical overview. With that said, I'll directly dive into the review with the design and build. On the back, this phone has this fiberglass kind of a material with a nice 3D curve with a super glossy finish. Well, just from initial impressions, it doesn't look all that impressive or fancy. Yes, it does look quite premium, but nothing out of the ordinary. We have seen phones with glass build like the Honor 9 and Honor 9 Lite. Even the Infinix Note 5 comes with a very similar glossy finish with probably some plastic, glass or fiberglass on the back. So just from initial impressions, I didn't find it that interesting or appealing. And usually most of the time I use a phone with a case. This is the free case that we get inside the box. Once again, nothing too fancy, a transparent soft silicone pouch. But personally, I didn't like this case because of the cutouts for the volume and power buttons. So I tried using this phone without the case and I really loved it. Like as I've told you already, I have seen many phones in the same price segment which come with glass build, metal build and all. But this phone is really special. Like this one has just a thickness of 8.5 mm. With a massive 5000 mAh battery, it still weighs 175 grams. And because of the new aspect ratio, it also fits pretty comfortably in the hand. So on the whole, I have used this phone pretty comfortably without a case for almost 10 days. So that's like a huge thing for me. Now coming to the buttons, they are sufficiently elevated and also have a nice clicky feel to them, which is something I really appreciate. And on the front, this phone comes with a Corning Gorilla Glass 6 protection. So far, I didn't drop this phone, but looking at all the advertisements, I think it can survive a drop. So guys, overall in terms of design and build, I really don't have any complaints. In fact, I personally love this phone, especially for its design and build. Now coming to the hardware section, it comes with all the basic sensors including compass, gyroscope, a multicolor LED notification light, FM radio, auto brightness sensor, fingerprint scanner and face unlock. All the sensors are working without any issues. Now this is the SIM card tray and it does have a dedicated SD card slot, so you can use 2 SIMs and an SD card all at once. So even if you get the 3GB variant with 32GB of storage, you can still manage with a dedicated SD card slot. By the way, there is no adaptive storage feature on this phone, so you can't move or install apps on the SD card. Now obviously this phone supports dual SIM along with dual 4G and dual VoLTE. But for it to work, you need to enable the dual 4G manually from the SIM card settings. Call quality and signal reception is pretty good. I have been using Jio on it quite a lot and it didn't face any issues, but still it doesn't have native video calling support, which is one of the things I miss. Now coming to the fingerprint scanner, it is quite fast and unlocks almost immediately. Not the fastest in the price segment, but it is quite good and pretty much usable. Now coming to face unlock, in well lit conditions, I am still able to see the lock screen. It's not super fast, but it is pretty fast and pretty much usable. In low lighting conditions, it still works, but it is slightly slower, and in complete darkness, it takes like a second or two. By the way, if you close your eyes, it doesn't work. So guys, in the hardware department, I just have one complaint. Haptic feedback is kinda bad. It's not horrible, it is still usable, but something better would have been nice. As of now, I have disabled it completely. Now coming to the display department, this phone sports a pretty huge 6.26-inch IPS display with Full HD Plus resolution, with the new 19:9 aspect ratio, with 88% screen to body ratio, with 400 nits of brightness. So the display on this phone is quite good. Viewing angles and sunlight legibility is also pretty good. Now coming to picture quality, color reproduction is good, sharpness while watching videos was also quite good. Now coming to the notch, which happens to be the most highlighting feature of this display. Well, in terms of software, there isn't any implementation for the notch. It's like the software doesn't treat it like it exists. Sometimes notification icons get hidden behind the notch, and if you hate it, there is no option to hide it. And for most of the tasks that you do full screen, like watching a video or playing a game in full screen mode, area near the notch is completely blacked out, which is just a wastage of screen real estate. So as of now, this display does come with a notch, But for most of the time when we actually want a much bigger screen while watching videos or playing games, it is just blacked out. Now this is the navigation bar, the same old navigation bar we have been seeing from ages. As this phone is running pure stock Android, there are no gestures, but once this phone gets Android Pie update, we might see the new gesture like on the Pixel phones. Now finally coming to the Corning Gorilla Glass 6 protection, I have been using this phone for almost 10 days without any screen guard, and so far I couldn't see any scratches, not even minute ones. So Corning Gorilla Glass definitely seems to be pretty strong and scratch resistant. So guys, on the whole, in the display department, I really don't have any major complaints. Just wish we could use the complete display, including the notch area while watching videos or playing games. Now coming to the cameras, on the rear this phone sports a dual camera setup with a 12 megapixel primary camera with Sony IMX486 sensor with f1.8 aperture. That's followed by a 5 megapixel secondary camera for taking portrait shots. On the front it has a 13 megapixel camera with f2.0 aperture along with a soft light. I've already posted the camera review, so check that out for more information and sample pictures, but here's the gist. This is the camera application. This is the camera interface, looks quite similar to Asus M1 with lot of features missing. There is no auto HDR for both the front and rear cameras. There is no portrait selfie mode either. I'll talk more about it later. For video recording, this phone supports electronic image stabilization for both the front and rear cameras. We can even record video in 4K resolution, but the phone doesn't support EIS while recording video in 4K resolution. By the way, there is no slow motion or time-lapse as of now. You just get a pro mode. Now these are some pictures taken using the rear camera. This phone takes plain old natural images without any AI effects or oversaturated colors. Color reproduction is good, but most of the time, landscape shots look kinda boring. Close-up shots look quite good with good color reproduction. Now coming to portrait mode, these are the sample pictures. On this phone we can change the focus point and the amount of background blur effect we want before taking a portrait shot. Edge detection isn't perfect, but it's quite good. And sometimes it doesn't work properly at all. Now coming to selfies, these are the sample pictures. Selfies look a bit overexposed, but still has good color reproduction and good skin tones. Dynamic range is just average. Now coming to portrait selfies, we will get it with an update. Asus has already released it on December 21st, but still I didn't get it, so that's why I'm not able to show you any sample shots. Now coming to video recording, this is the sample footage recorded in 1080p. Stabilization is pretty good, focusing speeds and color reproduction is also pretty good. Now this is a sample footage for the front-facing camera. Because of electronic image stabilization, sensor is cropped, so you don't get a wider footage. So guys, cameras on this phone are definitely better than Asus M1 and pretty good for the price. Now coming to performance, this phone sports a Snapdragon 660 processor with Adreno 512 GPU. These are the Geekbench cores. For some reason I was not able to install Antutu benchmark at all. Now as you might expect with a phone with pure stock Android and a Snapdragon 660 processor, everything on this phone was pretty smooth and responsive. In all my usage, it never froze or stuttered. Even the memory management is pretty good. By the way, I'm using the 4GB RAM variant which is priced at 15,000 rupees, and if possible get this variant instead of the 3GB RAM variant. If you're really tight on the budget, even the 3GB RAM variant will be pretty good. Now coming to gaming experience, I have played games like Asphalt 9, Modern Combat 5 and even the PUBG. I've already made the gaming review, check that out for more information. Even now, for some reason, accelerometer is not working on Asphalt 9, so I had to use the touch controls, and for some reason, visuals weren't that impressive. Now this is the same problem I have been seeing on phones with Snapdragon 660 processor like Realme 2, Mi A2, even the Vivo V11 Pro. Now coming to PUBG, here's the sample footage. We can even play this game at HD graphics settings. Personally, I chose to go with smooth graphics settings with high frame rate. And everything was pretty smooth and I didn't notice any major lag. So when it comes to performance, this phone does deliver. And at the time of its launch, this is the cheapest phone that you can get with a Snapdragon 660 processor at a starting price of 13,000 rupees. Now coming to the software section, this phone is running pure stock Android based on Android 8.1.0, that's Oreo. with October security patch. According to Asus, they've already released a new update for it on December 21st, but as of now that's January 4th, I still didn't get the update. I might get it in few more days. Now as this is pure stock Android, everything is pretty much plain and empty. There are no fancy features, we just get two gestures, double tap to wake and double tap to sleep. In all my usage, I didn't notice any major issues or software related issues. Even in terms of software optimization and responsiveness, it is pretty good. So in the software department, I have no complaints and I just wish this phone gets Android Pie update pretty soon. Now coming to the audio department, this phone has a 5-magnet speaker, which according to Asus is 41% louder than a single magnet speaker and has 12% less distortion. Now besides the number itself, speaker on this phone is really loud, definitely great for media consumption, and for ringtones and alarms it is more than sufficient. So the speaker on this phone, especially for media consumption like watching videos, is pretty good. Even the audio experience on headset is pretty good. It is loud and clear, but there isn't anything special. It's just like any other phone out there. Now coming to the battery department, this phone comes with a 5000 mAh battery and a regular micro USB charging port. This phone doesn't support fast charging and comes with a regular 10W power adapter inside the box. So the charging speeds are pretty normal, and this phone takes about 2.5 hours to charge your phone completely from 0 to 100%. Now coming to battery life, because of the massive battery, pure stock Android and a power efficient processor, battery life on this phone is pretty good. On an average, I got around 6 to 8 hours of screen on time on normal to high usage. That's with watching a lot of videos and downloading few files over Wi-Fi and playing PUBG a bit. It lasted me more than 1.5 days, and if you're a normal user, it can definitely last you more than 2 days. As I've said earlier, one of the best things about this phone is the entire form factor and design and build. Even though this one has a massive 5000 mAh battery, it is pretty sleek and weighs almost as the Redmi Note 6 Pro and feels pretty light in the hand. So when it comes to battery life, this phone is definitely a beast, and it also looks pretty and feels pretty light in the hand and has the best form factor with the best weight distribution. So guys, the conclusion is pretty simple. If you're looking for a phone under 15,000 rupees with a massive battery, new notch design with best-in-class performance, this is definitely the best choice you have. Especially if you're a gamer who likes to play PUBG a lot, this phone is once again the best choice considering the Snapdragon 660 processor and the massive battery. Now the cameras on this phone are not the best, but they are pretty good considering the price and other things this phone offers. So guys, what do you think about this phone? Do let us know by commenting below this video, and if you're planning to buy this phone, use the link in the description. It always helps the channel, and if you want us to make any specific video, tweet out to us with the hashtag #GreedyTech on Twitter and we will try to make it as soon as possible. I'm Nikhil from GreedyTech signing off. Have a nice day.